Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to everyone. My name is Sir Syafiq bin Rosdi from SMK Padang Pak Ahmad, Pasir Putih, Kelantan. And today, you are going to be with me for English online class focusing on answering reading comprehension. So for this session, there are 3 lesson objectives. Number 1 is, by the end of the session, students should be able to understand the structure of Paper 2 Section C, focusing on reading comprehension. Number 2, students should be able to understand the different types of questions and their requirements. And the last one, number 3, students should be able to use suitable and helpful strategies to answer the questions. For this session, I have included past year's SPM question focusing on reading comprehension. If you can look closely, maybe you want to focus, you may pause the video and have a closer look to read the passage and go through the questions. So, let's talk about the nature of Section C, reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is a part of Section C and it consists of an article with several paragraphs which topics will be varied every year. And then, following the article, there are 8 questions based on the text, and these questions worth 10 marks. And the next one, you will have your paragraphs and lines number that will be indicated on both sides of the article. On your right hand side, you will see the line numbers, and on the left hand side, you will see the paragraph numbers. When answering reading comprehension, you will be required to do some activities of, number 1, of course, reading, whereby you will be reading a lot, many times, in order to answer the questions. And then activity number 2 is processing information. After you read the articles, of course, you need to spend some time to process the information before you can move on to the next activity, which is understanding the information. After you understand the information, then you can start to create your answer to respond to the questions. And then, as we all know, reading comprehension is only a part of Section C, which has 50 minutes of time allocation. So, it is advised for students to spend only 20 minutes for reading comprehension part, because you will need another 30 minutes to finish your summary writing. Now let's move to the steps or the techniques to answer reading comprehension questions. I have listed down 6 steps, and the first one is to go through the questions. Many students actually love to jump straight to reading the passage. I'm not saying that is wrong. However, going through the questions will help you a lot. The first benefit of going through the questions is you will save a lot of time. Number 2, you will have something in your mind when you read the passage later on. This is because after you have looked through the questions, you will be put in a mood that you know what kind of key points or keywords that you are looking for when you read the passage later on in order to answer the comprehension questions. And then step number 2 is read the passage. When you're reading the passage, after you have went through the questions, you read through just to understand the flow of the story and the passage. Reading through here means you don't feel stressed if you found words that you don't understand. There might be some difficult words, but just ignore the words and focus on understand the passage as a whole. If you manage to understand the flow of the story, the flow of the passage, you should be able to answer the questions. The next step is analyze the questions. By analyzing the questions, I'm sharing with you that it's good to pay attention to the number of paragraphs mentioned in the question. For example, question 26 might sound like this. Based on paragraph 1, what is the meaning of this word? If you notice, the number of paragraphs will be mentioned in the questions. And it's good to pay attention because for each question, the location of the answer will be stated in the question. The next one is you skim and locate the point or answers. This is step number 4. When you skim and locate the points of the answer, it's good to use hints or clues or keywords that you get from the question, because the location of the answer in each paragraph will be determined by the keywords you found in the questions. The next step, step 5, is write the answer needed. Remember, for reading comprehension section, you only need to write what is asked or respond to what are asked by the questions. You don't write more than needed. And the last one is check your answers. Rechecking is always important to ensure great marks for this section. Alright, let's have a closer look on the questions. Question 26. From paragraph 1, why was it a good day to go paragliding? Remember, one of the steps that I've shared with you is to analyze the question and to beware or pay attention to the number of paragraphs stated in the question. For question 26, we know that the location of the answer will be in paragraph 1. So I have underlined paragraph 1, and the WH question used in that question is why. Why was it a good day to go paragliding? So, question why, to answer the question why, we need to find out the reason why the writer said it was a good day to go paragliding. In order to answer this question, let's have a look at paragraph 1. March 2nd looked like a good day to go paragliding. At a local flying site, Melissa, a 16-year-old licensed paraglider, checked the forecast. Although there were a few cloud patches in the sky, the wind was favorable. She unpacked her paraglider wing and laid it out on the ground. Going through the pre-flight procedures to ensure that everything was in order, she checked to see that the lines of her paraglider were free from tangles. Then she put on her harness and helmet. So, if we pay attention to paragraph number 1, we might notice that there is the keyword in the question, good day to go paragliding, stated in line number 1 of paragraph 1. Now, we just need to find the reason to answer the question why. And I have bracketed the answer there. Although there were a few cloud patches in the sky, the wind was favorable. However, we cannot copy everything and put it as the answer. This is because we just need to write the reason why it was a good day for paragliding. So the answer is the wind was favorable. Alright, moving on to question 27a. The location again is underlined in the question, paragraph 2. And the WH question used is what? What was the final piece of equipment that Melissa had to check before taking off? Now we need to pay attention to the keywords stated in the question. One of the keywords is final piece of equipment, so it must be something, one of the gears, a part of the gears that Melissa used. And the next keyword is the timing of the action done by Melissa, which was before she took off. So let's have a closer look at paragraph 2. Melissa lifted her wing directly above her head. With one more adjustment to the brake lines, she was ready to go. She ran to the edge of the cliff, took a step and felt the ground beneath her fall away. She was in the air. Feeling the wind beneath her, she leaned her back, relaxed and looked down. The sight of tiny figures moving slowly far below never failed to thrill her. The breeze caressed her face and birds flew gracefully by. Melissa had been paragliding almost 100 times, and yet each flight was different. So the question was, what was the final piece of equipment? So we have to look for the equipment that she checked before she took off. Alright. So let's have a look at line 1 and 2 in paragraph 2. Melissa lifted her wing directly above her head. There is nothing there related to the equipment or gears. With one more adjustment to the brake lines, she was ready to go. In this line, if you notice, there is something related to the equipment that she was using in order to paraglide. So the answer is the brake lines. It is also helpful if you notice that the word adjustment is actually similar to the word checking. So the answer again is the brake lines. Right? Next question, 27A2. What was Melissa excited to see? Again, the WH question here is what? So we need to find out and we need to look for an object or a subject that Melissa felt very excited when she saw that. Alright? So let's have a look in paragraph 2. She ran to the edge of the cliff, took a step and felt the ground beneath her fall away. She was in the air. Okay, there's nothing about seeing something there. Feeling the wind beneath her wing, she leaned back, relaxed and looked down. Okay, look down. Look down is similar to seeing something. So we can imagine that Melissa is now in the sky, looking down towards the ground. The sight of tiny figures moving slowly, far below, never failed to thrill her. So again, the word thrill there is similar to the feeling of excitement. So the answer is before that one. So the sight of tiny figures moving slowly far below never failed to thrill her. We can quickly get the answer there. So the answer is the sight of tiny figures moving slowly. That is the answer. For question 27B, the location of the answer is in paragraph 3. And the WH question used is how. How did Melissa know it was possible to land on a spot near the rice field? Okay, we need to find out how Melissa was very sure that it was possible to make a landing on a spot near the rice field. So let's have a look at paragraph 3. After flying for 15 minutes, Melissa decided to land on a spot next to a rice field. That sounds similar to the keywords in the question. Okay, but that's not the answer, because this was the point where she decided to land. It was much smaller than most landing zones, but it was possible. Okay, now she knew that it was possible. But the question is, how did she know that it was possible? Suddenly, she began falling at an alarming speed. She had touched down there successfully on a few previous occasions. That sounds like the answer, because it stated that she had touched down. She was successful at landing at the location on a few previous occasions. So quickly we know that this is the answer. She had touched down there successfully on a few previous occasions. Alright, so let's have a look at question 28. From paragraph 4, okay, the location of the answer is in paragraph 4. What quality was Melissa well known for? Again, the WH question is what. So if you notice, there are a lot of what, why and how in these reading comprehension questions. What quality was Melissa well known for? Alright, so let's have a look at paragraph 4. If you ask anyone in the paragliding club about the characteristic they most associated with Melissa, the chances are they would say determination. Alright, so the word quality in the question has the same meaning of characteristic in paragraph 4. So we know the answer might be somewhere close by, nearby. So let's find out an adjective. Let's look for an adjective that describes Melissa. So the chances are they would say determination. In this line, there is only one word that is describing something, and the word is determination. So quickly we can know that that is the answer. So you just write there in the answer space, the quality was determination. Alright, moving on to question B. Melissa's instructor used a particular image. What was this image? Okay, so we are looking for an image used by the instructor when he was advising Melissa, when he was teaching Melissa. So, but what could she do now? Let's look at paragraph 4. She struggled to control the wing as she was being thrown in all directions. Okay, so we know that she was struggling to control the wing because she was being thrown in all directions. It was like being tossed around inside a washing machine. Okay, she remembered her instructor describing an ordeal he had once been through and now understood why he had used this image. So we know that the instructor had used this image, some image, to tell Melissa, to share with Melissa about an ordeal that the instructor had been through. So let's move some step back to find the answer. She struggled to control the wing as she was being thrown in all directions. That is not an image. It was like being tossed around inside a washing machine. That is the answer, because the lines there indicates an action of being spinned around inside a washing machine. So that is the answer. You just copy everything. It was like being tossed around inside a washing machine. Okay. Next question from paragraph 5. So the location is in paragraph 5. What two things impressed Melissa's instructor on an earlier occasion? So we are looking for two things that impressed the instructor previously. Okay, so let's have a look at paragraph 5. 2 years before, when paragliding with her instructor, Melissa had managed to get herself down unharmed in the midst of a sudden storm. Okay, that is something done by Melissa previously. However, that might not be the answer because it doesn't say anything about the instructor being impressed. Okay, so next sentence, Melissa's instructor prided himself on the fact that with his support, his trainees always landed safely. Okay, still there is no answer there. Melissa's natural ability struck him as being unusual, however. Okay, so that is something that struck him. So the first thing is Melissa's natural ability. So you write down in the answer section Melissa's natural ability. We need to look for another thing that impressed Melissa's instructor. And even more noticeable was the calmness she showed. So there is one more thing in this sentence, and that is the calmness she showed. So remember, when writing your answer, you cannot copy everything from the text. You just need to take the answer, the point. So just write the calmness she showed. Or you can even say the calmness she has, or just the calmness. Okay? And the next question, how do you think Melissa felt about the way she was rescued? Give one reason. Okay, so this one is a K-bar question. And the WH question used is how. To answer this question, let's have a look at the end of the story, which is in paragraph 6. Then, beyond the building, she noticed a stream just wide enough for her to land in. She decided that this was her best chance. But as she was about to touch down, her wing got caught on the roof of the farm building. Okay, we know that she was stuck on the roof. Within moments, the villagers who had been anxiously watching her ran to help. She was lucky because the villagers were there to help her. They tried to release the wing by pulling hard on the lines. Okay, so they tried to help Melissa by pulling hard on the lines. This did not work. So cutting them was the only option despite Melissa's objections. So we know the villagers could not save Melissa by pulling hard on the lines, and the only option they have was to cut the lines. But Melissa objected. Melissa must be very sad because she might love her paraglider so much that cutting them would make her feel very sad. To everyone's relief, Melissa had escaped unhurt. However, she managed to escape unhurt. Alright, so the question is, how do you think Melissa felt about the way she was rescued? So we know the way she was rescued was the villagers had to cut her lines. And let's try to make a wild guess. What would your feeling be if your loved equipment was cut in order to save you? So the answer could be feeling sad, and the reason could be because she loved her equipment so much. But you can also say Melissa felt happy and relieved. Reason, Despite the paraglider had to be cut, she was saved and managed to escape unhurt. Both are acceptable. Alright, so that's all about reading comprehension, and the next I will share with you some tips and conclusion on answering reading comprehension. So number one, it is okay if you do not understand the passage 100%. Like I said, when you read the passage, ignore difficult words or foreign words that you don't understand. It is good enough if you can understand the flow of the passage. Number two, make sure you understand the requirements of each question. For example, the question what is asking for a thing, a noun, something. The question why is asking for a reason for something to happen. And the question how is asking for a means, like the way something is done. And the question where is asking for a location, when is asking for a time, and who is asking for a subject. It is very important that you know these questions and what are the intentions, what are they asking for. It will help you to find the answer. The next tip is some questions have straightforward answer. However, some questions do not. You have to use the cues and clues to make an inference or to respond to this kind of question. Okay, the next one, be careful with questions asking for one word or phrase. If the question asks for only one word, your answer must only have one word or one phrase. Answers do not have to be in full sentences. Many students actually ask, sir, do we need to write in full sentences? For example, if the question asks, what is the name of the doctor in the story? Do we need to write, the name of the doctor in the story is David? The answer is no. You can just go straight to the answer. For example, in the answer section, you can just write David. That will be accepted. The next tip is write only what is required, as answers are not supposed to be too long. Many students, they write long answers and sometimes they will not get any marks for the answers. This is because your answers are too long and it contains irrelevant parts in your answer. So avoid having irrelevant parts in your answers, and watch out for pronouns when writing your answers. Question in reading comprehension can be very tricky. Sometimes the passage given might be a story that is using first person pronouns. For example, the passage could be a story about someone, and the writer is using the pronoun I every single time in the passage. So when you write your answer for reading comprehension, you have to change the pronoun from I to the writer, or maybe to she or to he if you know the gender of the subject. Do not worry about grammar. Some students, they told me they are afraid to write the answers because they worry too much about making mistakes, making grammar mistakes when writing the answer. It is helpful to know that you have not to worry about grammar when answering this section, because the examiners will only be looking for the points. If you get the right answer, the right point, you will still get marks. Always check your answers before handing in your script. Okay, this is the last tip. Remember, you need to check your answers before you hand in your script. And the last one from me is, I wish you all the best and good luck when you answer your SPM question this year. And that is all from me, Mr. Shafiq, for English online class focusing on reading comprehension. Thank you.